Geopolitical tensions are on the rise, and that's all around the world. We just saw what happened yesterday with the missile attacks from Iran into Israel, and now some people are speculating that this could be a major black swan event, and it's going to pull the whole market down. In today's show, we'll analyze whether this is fact or fiction. We'll look at the reality of what could potentially happen next, and we'll get into where the validation and invalidation levels are for both Bitcoin, crypto, as well as the rest of the stock markets. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel because it's a big show. We have to go through a whole lot of stuff to see whether the bias has switched given this new information that just came in, which you can see over here. Look at the missile attack taking place. That was late yesterday evening. All of these missiles being fired from Iran into Israel. The difference is that this is not from Hamas. This actually comes from the Iranian government, which means there's a lot of fear now that escalations are going to be on the rise, and that this could lead to a big catalyst for World War III. And you can actually look over here. You can see the search term for World War III is starting to tick towards the upside. I typed in two different versions, WW3 and World War III, like that, because I don't know how the majority of the people are searching these days. But as you can see over here, we have seen this story before. And even in recent times, look at that, last October, World War III, the spike was very, very similar to what we've seen this particular time. And there's a lot of uncanny differences between what occurred in the last time October versus this time October. We have a whole lot of things that we need to have a look at over there. And 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 says it really nicely over here. And you have to remember this, especially when you're in a macro bull run. Doom sells, optimism makes money, right? You need to, pick your sides, pick your poison, decide when it is to be bearish versus when it's best to be bullish. Now, in bull markets, you want to be bullish. Of course, dips are for buying. And in bear markets, of course, pumps are for selling, and you ultimately want to remain bearish until that trend changes. So you can look over here, 𝗘𝗓𝗧𝗓 also coming out, just bought 10 more Bitcoin. Unfortunately, war is very good for economics or economies. It creates valid reason to print cash. The M2 money supply is about to go parabolic, right? You know, we've been looking at that M2 money supply now for quite a long time and how it's been rising. And we looked yesterday, you can go back to that show if you want to see more on that. We looked at how Bitcoin tends to lag by a couple of months once the M2 money supply begins to break out, which we've already seen. And this should actually just accelerate that M2 money supply. That is under the speculation that you even do go into some sort of a World War III scenario, which personally, I'm not betting on. We'll continue to monitor how things unfold. Tensions can rise, but I wouldn't be someone that's calling for black swan events, gray swan events, and doomsdays, right? At the end of the day, we're sticking to our plans in alignment with the 18.6-year real estate cycle, as well as a macro bull market for crypto and the stock markets, and crypto tends to follow the cyclical patterns. So you can pretty much relax, continue to monitor the trend, high highs and high lows. We'll have a look at a whole lot of things, but of course you will see liquidations along the way. And we had a big 24-hour liquidation event, 522.83 million worth of liquidations. Of course, the majority of those coming on the long side with over leveraged longs, right? People that have too much leverage on the table, high leverage positions from the degen traders, and those ones got flushed out the quickest, right? Fear and greed resetting from yesterday, 50. The day before that, I think we're sitting at somewhere around like the 60s, 63, 64. And now you back down to 42, literally just a smidge away from going into the fear over there. If this drops anything below 40, you're back in that fearful territory, which you can see that seems to be the sentiment, right? Now, it doesn't mean that the bottom is in, doesn't mean that we're just going to V-shape out of here. Not necessarily. We'll get into some of the levels and be realistic about things where you could find major support. There could be a little bit of a sweep lower. We'll have a look at that and a whole lot more. If you look at the deltas over here and you go into the actual whale room Discord, you can see now this is reset. Yesterday we had a little bit of mixed signals. A couple of them were negative, a couple of them were positive. Now you can see Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and you go through to the bottom, near WIF and 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗧. The majority of traders are currently holding short positions, as we wrote in here. Of course, this is due to what occurred yesterday. So a lot of people holding short positions right now. So something to keep an eye out on, right? In bull markets, you won't be able to hold those short positions for long periods of time before price snaps back out of there and finds support and then leads to higher prices. And then on a more macro scale, I think we can probably add this in. Let's see, we'll add this in soon. We've been following this along really, really nicely all the way from here. We marked off the negative funding, right? Negative funding on the weekly scale, high time frame scale. COVID, what happened to price? Ripped towards the upside, right? You had all that uncertainty about breaking out from this level. Negative funding over there, not really a political event or anything about that matter that led to the negative funding like all the other ones. But nevertheless, price rallies on out of there. Negative funding occurred over here with the double top scenario in 2021. This led to one more big spike towards the upside. And then you fast forward over here. The last time we saw negative funding within this cycle, mark the bottom, right? FTX collapse, negative funding over there, extreme negative funding, price rallies up. USDC collapse and 𝗕𝗫𝗢𝗢, right? Remember 𝗕𝗫𝗢𝗢 by a couple of percentage points. It's always meant to be backed 1-to-1. That created a lot of fear and panic. What happened to Bitcoin? Rallied out of there, right? 19,544. And look at the massive move that we had. And that pretty much led all the way to the top before we experienced the next bit of negative funding, which if I expand this, you might see a little bit better, right? That was the yen cash and carry trade unwind over there. And now once again, we're putting in negative funding, right? So probably something to add to the list over here. Let's add it in. This is your new negative funding. We need to wait for this to, of course, close to be 100% certain that it is going to remain like that as negative. And we're going to label this one over here, Iran missile attack, right? Iran missile attack. We'll put that one on the list over there and we'll monitor this. Let's see what happens next. Do we rally on out of here like we've seen every single one of the previous times in alignment with, right, the negative deltas? This is where you see the big moves. We'll keep an eye out on that. We've also looked at the VIX. This shows you how much volatility is coming into the stock market. It's the volatility index for the S&P 500. We recently had the third highest spike, which presented a major buying opportunity. Publicly said that a lot over here on the shows, and you can compare to all the other times, right, that you also had the VIX spiking that high. And what happens next, right? Price rallies each and every single time towards the upside. So the question remains, will the VIX spike up once again? Well, if we look at the other times, it didn't, right? It didn't really provide those opportunities. It actually just continued to grind towards the downside. When the VIX grinds down like that, price tends to rally. VIX grinds down, what happens to price, right? VIX grinds down, what is the expectation for price? Continuation onwards and upwards in alignment with what we've been viewing as the final phase, the blow-off top of blow-off tops, which is going to be leading into that election phase on the 5th of November, which is very, very soon, right? We're a month away from that point in time, and you're looking for full vertical into the 14-year mark, which give or take could be sometime next year, possibly even into 2026. Long story short, nothing changes unless we start to see a major breakdown of this trend. And do we have a breakdown of this trend yet? No, we don't, right? You have higher lows throughout, higher highs, higher lows. Price just continues to grind onwards and upwards. I've marked out the levels, right? First area of support would be over here coming in at 5,650-ish for the S&P 500. If you do lose that, well, the next significant level, I still would view this as a potential, right? In a major scare scenario, you might come back to take some of the liquidity 50% of the way into that wick, which would look something like that. But at the end of the day, I still think that would present a major, major, major opportunity. And what we have seen as well in the past on the S&P 500 is that oftentimes around those October periods is where you do see those major lows, right? There's the last one. Look at this. This was October last year, and you can see what happened with price. At one point, it looked like we're going to start to create a new swing low, but instead it presented a major buying opportunity and price rallied vertically out of there. Look at that for the stock market, 29% without any pullbacks is very, very significant, right? So that's what we're looking at over there. Now, if the stock market does do that, if the M2 money supply does push towards the upside and you do start to see a breakout out of those levels, and the catch-up trade does take place for Bitcoin, well, then you would expect higher prices for crypto as well. So you have the Dow Jones new all-time highs. You still have the S&P 500 literally consolidating at all-time highs. There's nothing bearish about that. And the NASDAQ is still slightly lagging, right? That should catch up soon. Gold also, of course, we've been in the long trade for quite some time. We entered into this trade all the way down here, and we pretty much hold this to perfection. We're still waiting for this to follow through all the way. My target personally, 2,774. Where do I get that target? Based on a massive cup and handle formation. This would be the breakout from the handle, and we're looking for that to play out in full, right? So a lot to look at over there. And then you're also seeing other big stocks like Tesla, right? Look at that, Tesla breaching the long-term downsloping trend line even yesterday, despite the scare and the flush towards the downside. Look at how quickly that was brought back up, and you're looking to close another weekly candle outside of this downsloping trend line. And if you do that, well, that's inherently bullish, right? This shows you that there is an appetite for risk. Despite what's going on in the rest of the market, you would expect continuation higher. And here is our DXY. It's been a bit of a tricky one because every time it starts to hang underneath the bottom of this trend line over here, it looks like we're going to start to accelerate towards the downside. And then something comes up like this, right? And it bounces towards the upside. And then I always outlined that there was a possibility that you might see a descending triangle form, right? You got your pivot level taken from at least that wick over there, governing the lower highs throughout. You have pretty much equal lows. And whenever you see this pattern of equal lows and lower highs, this is a descending triangle, and the descending triangles have measured moves, right? So where does the measured move take this if the US dollar does break down? Well, the measured move on this would take it down to 99, right? 99. That's big moves. Just understand it. I know it doesn't look like much percentage-wise when you measure it out, and you're talking about only 2.16%. But understand, these are big numbers. This is a lot of liquidity that will be flowing out of the dollar into other things, into other currencies, into risk on assets as well. And oftentimes this will come off of the back of the M2 money supply expanding, right? Devaluing the dollar, and that's where you look for those big moves. So we're still waiting for that, and this is all part of a macro breakdown. So just to give you some perspective of what we've been looking at for quite some time, you can see the DXY, which is being caught in this parallel channel, massive multi-decade parallel channel bouncing between the lower boundary and rejecting off the upper boundary over there. And then you also have your strong horizontal region coming in. And now we've started to gain acceptance below the mid-range as well as the gray zone, which is your range high on the horizontals. So it's double confluence of that breakdown. And we're looking for that breakdown actually to send price all the way back towards the lower boundary. And the expectation, again, if I just pull this out at what would be a realistic angle for something like this to take place, you can see how that would lead into some point in 2025, right? And the bottom of the DXY, when the DXY bottoms, wherever that may be, if it may be there or if it may be there, whenever that does happen, that's typically where you see the top occur on the risk on assets, right? So the breakdown of this leads to the bull markets in risk on assets, and the bottoming of this leads to the tops of risk on assets, and we're still waiting for something like that to play out. So the trades have been taken. We're in the gold trade still over here. Remember, if you do want to take any of these trades, it is listed on Prime XBT, right? All of the various different commodities, cryptos, forex pairs. Use the link in the description below, because my link, which is in the YouTube description, will actually give you a sign-up bonus that you can't get on other channels. And that sign-up bonus, you have the option to choose. You either can choose a 20% sign-up deposit. So if you put in $1,000, you'll get $200 bonus. If you put in $10,000, you will get $2,000 bonus, which you can use to trade with. Or you can opt for the 25% discount on commissions, right? Remember, all these exchanges charge you fees to enter and exit trades, and over time, those cumulatively add up to a lot. So 25% savings on that is pretty rock solid. All right. The plan is simple, right? From Eugene over here, I pretty much agree with the sentiment over here. The plan's been quite simple. Sell when everyone is turbo aping alts. Look, I wouldn't really say that we saw turbo aping alts. I think that more the dip right now wasn't due to over leveraged degens or anything like that. It created a little bit of a flush, but it's mostly due to the event that occurred yesterday between Iran and Israel. And he says, if you start buying when people begin to lose conviction that the dip was a leverage flush to buy. Well, that's what most people think, right? It was a leverage flush, and they're losing conviction on the previous dip that we recently had. And then he says, fully sized dip buys when missiles are flying and World War III is about to happen, in brackets again, right? Because we've seen the story before, and everyone is de-risking because the war is only just starting again, right? And he says he may eat his words in the future, but so far the playbook has worked, and that is 100% the case, right? The playbook has in fact worked. When we look at this, we've seen this story before many times. It's not only war related, right? There's many different things, like I showed you on this particular chart over here. If we go to this one, like I've shown you on all of these, we've seen this story before, right? All of the major events: COVID, FTX collapse, USDCD peg, yen cash carry trade unwind, banking collapses, of course, attacks, wars. We can look even at the Russia-Ukraine. You can put that on a chart, go plot that out, and you'll see what happens. These all present buying opportunities, right? Of course, we don't condone any of these things, and we're not trying to make profits off of the backs of other people having terrible times in their life or negative events. But this is just the way the charts work. The way we make money is we buy at a certain level and we sell when it's higher, or we short at a certain level and we cover the short when it's even lower. This is just the way the markets work, right? So just to make that very, very clear, we don't condone any of this. So the expectation is still that, over October, November, December, we're going to have a bullish quarter. And the reason why is because this is what history has shown us. And despite all of the political events that occur in between, these trends do tend to continue, right? So we're still looking at that. We've marked out the clear levels. Here's your SR flip on a monthly scale. Very, very, very significant. This takes time. It takes time to flip a major level like this, right? And you just have to consider, this is crazy. We've spent almost a year at this level, attempting to flip this level into major support. And I know so many people have got bored, and people that, don't have conviction in the space by now would have left. But you have to understand, when you eventually flip this level into support, this is going to lead to an absolutely monumental move towards the upside. Absolutely enormous move. I truly, truly believe it. When you flip this level into support, it is going to be huge. And we're still waiting for that. And we're getting closer and closer and closer to the point of breaking out from this level. It's a long-term consolidation. The longer the consolidation, the bigger the eventual breakout. And just to give you a little bit of perspective of why I say that and what I mean, is we can move on to the weekly scale over here, and we can actually go back to some of the previous consolidations. Now, to give you some perspective, this was some of the prior consolidations, right? In terms of timing, nowhere near what we previously saw. That was one consolidation. Look at that vertical move that occurred. You temporarily paused over here only for a couple of weeks, and look at the vertical move that occurs after that. Now, when you go back to this region over here, look at how much time we've been consolidating within this region. You have to understand, when you eventually flip this level into support, big, big, big moves will commence. And we still have to reserve the possibility that we can always be wrong. This could be a left translated cycle, and maybe we got overly optimistic and it's all over. Well, if we start to gain acceptance for multiple weeks underneath the $58,000 region, this in fact could be macro distribution, right? Macro distribution, where you're looking at lower prices. I think it's less likely, but we do still always reserve the right and possibility that something like that could happen. As it currently stands, as long as we're above that 21 weekly exponential moving average, the yellow one over here, it's long and strong, and I would continue to remain optimistic on the market, right? Similar to at least what was said over here in this tweet. Doom sells, optimism makes money. I mean, doom sells, guys. Look at the thumbnail on the show. Caution, will Bitcoin and crypto survive this Black Swan event, 2024 Doomsday? Here we have 3,000 people live on the stream. I mean, is that not evidence enough? But optimism will make you money over time, right? So I'm here to tell you the truth of the markets, and at least what I personally see. So again, looking back to previous October, we did sweep below the monthly open over there. And look at what happened to price next, right? Huge, huge, huge move. Could this be the final shakeout, the final test? Well, you can actually have a look at this chart over here. And let me just quickly change the viewpoint over there. Shout out to Max, because Bitcoin, he's the one that obviously wrote this up over here, and he showed the similarities of what occurred over here in October 2023. You can see over there, we had the break of the downsloping trend line. You had the market structure break. You came back down. You swept below the October 2023 lows. And of course, what happened next? Full vertical, right? Look at that as a fractal. Now, fractals just provide information on how the psychology is very similar at a similar point in time. Remember, I mentioned that at the start of the show. Oftentimes, we see the same things repeat in the market, especially timing-wise. We've seen between July, August, September makes seasonal lows for crypto, specifically Bitcoin. We see the stock market typically seasonally is September, October, where it makes major lows and continues onwards and upwards. And now fractally, from a fractal standpoint, 2023 October versus 2024 October, market structure breaks the downsloping trend line, sweeps the monthly open, and we may once again see another big trap scenario over here. So a lot of very important things to look at, I think, at least to, remain on the ball and understand exactly what's going on. And one interesting thing I will point out is that once again, the moon phases strike again, right? The bull moon, bear moon, moon phases over here, which I have on the chart, strike again because you did print yesterday your bear moon, and literally on point, it drops towards the downside. Now, it's not always going to be absolutely perfect, and I've laid out multiple times the criteria for how I analyze and look at this. We never use this in isolation, but we use it as confluence with other things, right? Strong horizontals and trend come first and foremost above everything else, and then we can start to look to these additional factors as call it confirmation bias, if you will, or supporting evidence for what may occur next. So simply put, since we printed a bear moon, it just may mean a little bit of consolidation or deeper correction over here. And then eventually in the next within this 2-week period, you're looking for a major bottom. A shout out as well to Eric Crown, because what I do want to mention is he always has a look at from a quant standpoint, right? Quantitative analysis standpoint. When do you typically see the major bottoms within the month and within various months of the various different years? We use some of his data and analysis in September to time a major bottom, suggesting that it would likely occur within the first week. Now, when you have a look at October, what we find is that typically it's between day 7 and day 10. So the 7th to the 10th of October, that you're looking for a major bottom, all in alignment with the bear moon. Remember, the bear moon would be in play for about a 2-week period, which means in those 14-day period, within that 14-day period, you're looking for a major low. Now, that major low should be a higher low. That's the next important point, right? Because we've started to see a shift in the momentum, creating our first higher high over there. And now we're looking for price to come in and hold above this key level over here, creating that next high low. The question is, where is that point, right? Are we going to take out this low once again? It's very, very possible. You could even cross bearish over here between your 9 and 18 exponential moving average. We're again dropping below the 200 MA, which is of course not a good sign. And then where do things start to really fall out of bed and get really bearish? Well, if you start to break below these levels, the whole picture begins to shift, and we have to obviously monitor that bit by bit. This is why dollar cost averaging will be one of your best friends in times like these. As price is coming down, you have additional liquidity you can keep adding into the market. And when price is running away from you, instead of FOMOing in, you know that you have dry powder to continue to allocate into the market. And you've been doing that for quite some time. So I really encourage each and every one of you to have some sort of a dollar cost average, at least strategy. Now, in the next month or so, we're looking for price to hopefully break out of this level. So far, our analysis timing-wise has been pretty spot on, and I don't think this time will be any different. So it's just a matter of finding where the next high lows and then allocating. There's a couple of areas of interest, right? This has been the long-term consolidation. We've come into what I labeled the inflection point, which is where I told you you will experience volatility and you will experience a lot of, action within this phase over here. And it hasn't disappointed, right? We're seeing the action. We saw the action towards the upside. We've seen the action now towards the downside. And I don't think this will change, right? So maybe a bit lower. And then I think we'll continue to see the action towards the upside, eventually breaking out of these key levels. So what are the levels of interest, right? The areas of interest. So in strong trending moves, you typically hold support at the 0.382 fib level. You can see we're trying to reclaim that. Now, if we start to close multiple daily candles above $61,212, I'll consider that a reclaim. If we don't and we come back below this wick, the next area that I'm watching is going to be 59,570, which is your 50% level of the range, right? What is the range? I marked the trading range from the low here to the high. This is the trading range. So you're looking for something like that and continuation up. If things get really, really scary, I won't rule out the possibility. This is where you tend to catch those little sniper bid entries, right? These sniped entries tend to come between the 0.65 and the 618. So if you're somebody that wants to wait for higher confirmation, but you still want to put some sneaky buys in, the sneaky buy area should be placed between $57,482 and 57,927. There it is. You guys can screenshot that. Those are the levels. You probably want to put some buys into there. And I actually dropped in Whale Room. If you go into the Discord, you can actually go and look where some of those buy orders have already been placed. I drop all the information in there on the daily. So please do keep an eye out on that. Okay, so let's continue on over there. Mid-range over here. We've lost mid-range temporarily in the Whale Room live Zoom session yesterday. We outlined that, you might see something like this. Watch for the reclaim. If you start to reclaim these levels, your full confirmation of the deviation and continuation of the uptrend would be breaking and getting back above this zone over here. So patient traders, you waiting for this. Let's just quickly grab that again. I have the wrong tool. Patient traders, you're going to be waiting for this. You want price to get back above 64,118. That should get you back above the 50 EMA, and then you'll consider this a shakeout, right? Shakeout confirmed, you're back above this zone, and you're looking at continuation higher. So it would look something like this, back above and continuation higher. That was the high low, and off it goes, right? Those are for the safe traders. I talk to many different people here because some of you, are trading with serious capital and you want to wait for full confirmations that everything is fine. Some of you are complete degens and you want to buy the bottom, and I've given you those levels as well. Okay, so I hope I'm helping everyone here. Let me know in the comments if that does help you. Okay, Bitcoin dominance, we still do not have a confirmed top. This one will take time, but we are expecting eventually, sometime soon, sometime this year, a breakdown, right? Because you're reaching the apex of the rising wedge. Rising wedges are bearish patterns. And remember, when this does break down, altcoins tend to rally. And we can have a look at the altcoin sector over here. And again, another shout out to Max, right? Really good stuff over here for Max. Max because BTC, just having a look at the relationship between others' dominance. Others' dominance is the altcoin dominance and Bitcoin, right? What we've seen is when Bitcoin convincingly breaks above those previous all-time highs, at that same point in time, you tend to put in a high time frame, higher low on the others' dominance. Others' dominance tends to rally. Bitcoin dominance would then come down, and that's where we tend to see our alt seasons. Why am I telling you this? Why should you not wait for confirmation, at least in this environment? Well, I think it's time to start to allocate towards altcoins in a big way. And the reason being is because when the altcoins run, if you're waiting for confirmation, you've probably missed it, to be honest with you. When these altcoins go, they go, guys. There's no opportunity to get in. So if you want to take the less risky approach, but still gain exposure to altcoins without waiting for those final confirmations where things start to break out, simply dollar cost average. Say to yourself, well, Kyledoops show says over the course of the rest of this year, we should start breaking out on the altcoins. Altcoin season likely takes place in 2025. Therefore, I have X amount of capital which I want entered into the market. I'm going to take that X amount and I'm going to say there's this many days left in the year, give or take October, November, December. So give or take 90 days left over this year. I'm going to take my capital and I'm simply going to dollar cost average into my favorite altcoins over the 90 days, gaining an average entry, thus de-risking as much as possible while still having exposure to the market. That's probably what you want to do, right? Because when we do start to leave the station, it's going to happen very, 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 very quickly, right? And that's what we've seen previously, right? Here's your altcoin dominance. Look how quickly it goes up. Altcoin dominance, look how quick it goes up. And this time probably won't be any different, right? Here you got your others in terms of market cap at 217 billion. Big push up over here, rejected from the 0.382 level, came towards the downside over there. And now you've created your higher high. Watch for the next higher low. This presents a wonderful opportunity. Just keep an eye out on these charts over there. We're still waiting for higher prices. We've looked at ETH, BTC a whole lot, and now we can look at some of the altcoins. So if you look at the altcoin mix over here, SUI defying all odds. I told you, you might not get a dip on this, right? This one is super strong. It's continuing to push towards the upside over there, and it's probably going to break into new all-time highs. Personally, I wouldn't chase this if you're not long on this already. At least the positions that the rest of us got into early, I'm up over 100% on this trade. Really, really, really happy with these positions. Great stuff. Let's look at some of the other coins over here. TRX, not much to say about that. Okay. So this was the breakout level for Injective. Obviously, yesterday flushed it towards the downside. This could be your next high low. Please look at all of your charts and observe where the high lows are, right? The high lows, and continuation onwards and upwards. We're still waiting for continuation there. Here you have near perfect pullback. This is an example of pulling back into that 50% level. We saw that. Look at the reaction of the 50% level. Breaks back up. But remember, this is also a daily fair value gap. So you're expecting higher prices from this point onwards, right? So nice move into there. Maybe it'll chop around a little bit, but looking for a little bit of a reaction out of there. Casper, beautiful flush into the zone. What an opportunity. Look at that. Straight into the mid-range. What a pity I didn't have additional liquidity available to enter into the market over here. Also, closing basis, still putting in high lows, right? Last high low was at 14.5. That's 14.5 cents. And then the next one over here was 49, just shy of 15 cents. Still closing high lows over there on Casper. And the wick came in as a double low over there. It might have even taken some of these traders out with tight stop losses. So I think Casper looking good. Solana also looking decent over here, putting in the high lows. Look, you do want to get back above this. This is the key level. You really want to see Solana get above 165 for that continuation onwards and upwards. All in all, that one's looking okay. Let's see Mantra. Let's double check. Look at that power, absolute power. Ready for all-time highs. One of my biggest real-world asset positions over there. We'll also check on Rio because we're still long on that on leverage, probably putting in the high low over here, expecting continuation towards the new high. So those are looking wonderful. 𝗬𝗏, how's 𝗬𝗏 looking? This one's also been an absolute ripper. Okay, still strong, probably going to push up to around about 700 into the range high. Render, let's check out Render. Okay, parallel channel still contending with this. It's got a lot of work to do to break above that. Any other ones? Okay, FET. Decent, still holding above the breakout level. Perfect back test into that 149. Seems to be holding that. Looking good. I think that one can continue. GRT. Okay, failing back below this level. You want to get back above this as quick as possible. You need to see GRT above 18 cents, right? Just to have confirmation that it's obviously going to continue onwards and upwards. Meme coins. Let's quickly run through some of these. Bonk looking strong. WIF looking strong. Sundog. Also decent, right? But personally, I don't know, market cap wise, I'm not sure if this one's going to, if they're going to keep running this one up. But here's your levels. You're looking at that. This is just your daily levels. So I guess a good sign will be to get back above this zone. Only problem is if you're governing the trend over here, you now have your break of structure, right? So low, higher low, lower low. You just broke into a lower low with a confirmed close down there. So one to keep an eye out on. Popcat, super strong, one of our top picks. GigaChad, also very wiki all over the place, but otherwise I would still say strong. If you're looking on a line chart, purely focused on those closing candles, well, look at that. I would say that's strong. High highs, high lows, trending towards the upside, looking decent. Okay, skip Floki. 𝗕𝗘𝗅, the Chinese 𝗕𝗅 coin. Look, I want to see a high low form over here. Definitely wouldn't want to see this spend any time underneath these lows. There's a lot of numbers over there. Last digits are 15,306. We want to see it hold above that level. Nairo, I don't know, kind of getting wrecked over here. Lower highs throughout. This is normal 𝗕𝗅. At the breakout level, we need to see time spent above the zone over here. This is your prior range high. Reclaiming this level is significant. You can then start to target up to 16,827. All right, skipping Turbo, skip Slurf. Okay, Rito still needs some time over there. Bobo, not interested. Dogecoin, back into the support level. Keep an eye out on that one. Brett, also back into the support level, but you are putting in higher highs and higher lows. So this one needs a bit of time to eventually break out, but it has been rejecting macro-wise from this trend line over here, but you can see possible reversal in play. Ponky, also, we were long from the bottom over here. There is a possibility, this could drop all the way back down to 26. I think that should hold as support and then look for continuation. Okay, if you look at this, let's just quickly make it a little bit more specific. I wouldn't consider this broken out yet. Myro, still waiting. Mew, not looking too bad. When, skip that. Mog. Okay, Mog also looking decent in recent times. Higher highs, higher lows. Look, it needs time to consolidate a little bit above these key levels and form a bit of a better price structure over there because it's super choppy. Shiba Inu broke the long-term downtrend, huge move towards the upside. Just watch that it doesn't take out this expansive candle. You want it to hold above last digits, 1,491, 1491. Okay, what else? What else have we got over here? Okay, let me know in the comments what else you want to have a look at. Drop it in the comments and we'll check that out. We can look at Prime. Remember, people were frothing at the mouth a couple of weeks ago on gaming. So let's have a look at gaming after all the froth and it's cooling down. I think this probably drops back to this trend line over here. This was a key level that it needed to break out from, which it did. Now we're waiting for the back test into this zone. So Prime, if it comes down to $9, watch that it continues to hold that. You might get something like that, right? One more throwback into this zone, something like that. And then you're looking for continuation up to the top over there. That becomes major resistance just under 14. All right, Superfarm. Yeah, we can have a look at Superfarm. Here's Superfarm, typically one of the top performers. I did say be careful as it comes over here because this has been a big move, right? From bottom to top, 127%. You're now approaching that range high. So just watch as it approaches this level over here. No point in longing here, right? If you were to look for a long, you're going to wait for it to break out and hold this level. If it can regain this level of support, then you start to open up higher prices as a possibility. Otherwise, your expectation should be that there's a possibility you do something like that and then cool off a little bit. All right, before we go into the rest of the requests, I do want to let you guys know as well, if you go into the description over here and you go to ByBit, we do have the World Series of Trading event, which is taking place. Click on that link over there. There's $10 million, guys, $10 million, big payday, which is up for grabs over there. You have 2 days to be part of the early bird registration, which is going to be ending in 2 days and 2 hours. Please use the link in the description below. Make sure you jump in and join our team. There's a lot of different prizes that's up for grabs. Just read below here. It depends on, which sort of squad you in, what streaks you get, your individual profits, your volume profits, P&L percentages. There's all sorts of stuff, but overall, $10 million. This is the biggest competition in the world when it comes to trading. So please do use the link. Consider this like the FIFA Football World Cup. It's that, but for trading, right? So use the link below, get in while you still can, and then let's continue on over here. I also want to mention there are a lot of unlocks that are coming up, right? So just be careful of these unlocks. If you look at this over here, there's some huge ones coming. Let's go to the top. ENA. This is 22.5% of the supply that's going to be dropped. 160.35 million. Use this app, right? It's free. Token.unlocks.app. And then you go through to the different categories. You can see all the various unlocks that are coming up. New things have been added, and you can just see if it's that much, if it's such an outlier with such a massive percentage, 22.5%, you probably want to start to hedge your positions if you are in ENA with a hedge short, right? Just in case there is dumping over there. Okay, DGen I also saw had a big move up. There's a lot of talks now about them, going full force with base chain. DGen, this is kind of like its own chain built on base. Think of it like almost like a layer 3, right? You have a layer 1, which is Ethereum, and then you have base, which is a layer 2 built on Ethereum, and now you got these guys that came and built on top of base, which makes it like a layer 3, or it's a layer 2 on a layer 2. So keep an eye on this. You're up a lot if you bought down into this key zone over here. Decent move over there. Let's have a look at Mudeng, because I see a lot of you in the comments still want to know about Mudeng. So let's see. Mudeng looking strong. It looks like probably a high low. It's going to have continuation over here. And yeah, this one probably takes out the highs on a closing basis and a wick basis, right? Personally, I haven't longed this. Reason being is just because the market cap's quite high. I'm not sure how long a hippo can trend for. I don't know if that's something we're going to be talking about a few years from now, but you never know. So Mudeng onwards and upwards, look for continuation, understand the risk that you're playing with when it comes to the meme coins, right? Okay, what else? Let me know in the comments. What else have we got? We've done PayPay. I see you guys want PayPay. We can look at BlackRock, Larry Pink. Is there any sort of resurgence there? Are you guys still bidding it? Let's see. BlackRock, still below $1 million market cap, so definitely a lot of work to be done, but this is the level that you want to flip into support, right? So you're caught right in the zone over here. You want to start to break out above last 4 digits, 8104, hold above that, and then you probably have the opportunity to spike things higher. How's 𝗘𝗢𝗢 doing? A little bit of profit taking there, but still holding up at the $20 million market cap, which is looking decent. So all in all, that's holding up over there. Similar to BlackRock, you want to break above the top of the range high. That's going to be 0.03362. That's level to reclaim. Hold above that, and I think 𝗘𝗫𝗓 will be off to probably $50-60 million market cap after that point. All right. What else have we got, guys? Let me know as well in the comments after the show. So when I end the show, please go to the comment section afterwards. Let me know what you want to see more of when it comes to the shows. Remember, this is your show as much as it is mine, and I want to give you guys value. I want to dive into whatever it is that you guys want to dive into. So tell me what you like, and we'll give you more of that. And then also a reminder, this is now officially the dying moments. The dying moments, go to the description below, click on Whale School, 4 hours left, and then we start with the first workshop, right? Cohort number, I think we're on like number 10 now. Over 70,000 people have done this course. What an absolute privilege and opportunity to teach so many people. So please sign up if you haven't already. And I think that's it, guys. I'll see all of you later. Join into the World Series of Trading. Sign up to Prime XBT. Claim your sign-up bonus. And I'll see the rest of you at Whale School later today. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and cheers for now.